everybody here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. My name is Andrew Valentin, and I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday. We are coming to you live from the Illinois Media School here in Lombard, Illinois. Again, wherever it is for you, ladies and gentlemen, day or night. I hope it is just right. And with me, as we were just talking about the wonderful show that is Storage Wars. Great show, by the way.
Yep.
I still think that show was complete and utter fake nonsense. I mean, come on.
I thought it was garbage.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it is garbage TV in its
That was
own
the
way.
highlight right there.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
That's about it.
From the auctioneer that would always follow them around, and it was always a small group of individuals that were always like, we've got to beat Nick and Tony and Sarah and Andrea for this container or whatever it was. What a stupid show.
Yeah. And then just the dramatization of
it. It was always
not needed.
It was always like you either found like a box full of like old trading cards from like a TV show, let's say, or something like that, like a Growing Pains trading cards. Those are actually a real thing. Me and TJ were talking about that beforehand. Or you found like a mint condition 1967 Ferrari or something like that. Never been touched. It's clearly been in there. No dust on it, nothing, no rust. It's mint condition. Been there since 1967. Fresh ordered from Italy itself. Nevertheless, garbage.
Yeah. Right.
But enough
Not
about
buying it.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, Drew, how are you doing otherwise?
It's nice to be in the air conditioning.
It's
today.
getting hot out there. It's supposed to be spring. I think they're lying. It's really first summer here.
Went right to summer.
Yeah, it's first summer here in Chicago, folks.
Winter to summer.
Yes, we have that wonderful transition at some point. I'm sure it'll cool off midsummer, and everyone will be like, "Oh, this is nice," and then it'll just be like 1,000 degrees out. So, but enough about TV. No more trading cards. Drew, we got a lot to talk about. Are you ready to get to this, my friend?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, then, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. And the first part we're kicking this one off with is the NBA playoffs, because if you're not aware, it has been quite the riveting fight back and forth between some great teams. Two of them actually right now have been some pretty impressive ones. And let's start with the Boston Celtics, shall we? Because my goodness, what a game they just had, right? An incredible comeback here against the Bucks, 116 to 108. Amazing game, obviously, from Jason Tatum, but an even more impressive game coming from the old man himself, Al Horford, going for 30 points, 8 rebounds, 5 for 7 from three-point. Obviously, there was that little moment where he hit Giannis in the face and got called for a foul. I don't know what you can do with that. Just right off the bat,
He's a big guy. He'll be fine. He'll be okay.
I will say I do agree with Stephen A. Smith that was maybe one of the most ridiculous things I ever saw when he came down from a dunk, his hands coming down, and he smacks him in the face. That's a foul all of a sudden. I don't know. I'm never one to really agree too much with Stephen A. Smith, but I have to agree in that one.
There's always been some questionable calls here and there.
Absolutely. But I'll ask you this, Drew. I mean, what did you think about this game? The Celtics are back in it. I mean, the series now tied all up. What did you think about the performance? Does this say anything now for the Celtics, you think, going forward here against the Milwaukee Bucks?
I mean, this is pretty much what I expected, a battle back and forth, this thing to go down to the wire.
Yeah.
Go down to 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I pegged it to go. These are both 2 really good teams.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that on the court. Even when some players are struggling, there's somebody picking them back up.
Right.
And that's what you saw here. Celtics are tough. Milwaukee's tough.
Yeah.
You know, I think this was a great game to see a team that didn't start off the season real well, and then got real hot throughout the All-Star break to the end of the season, and has continued, sputtered a little.
Yeah.
A game or two. You saw some of that beginning of the season play from them.
Right.
But then they come back and they end up taking one from Milwaukee, and now they're headed back home. And it's again, it's gonna come down to 7 games for me. This can be exciting finish for 2 of the best teams in the NBA, not just the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I totally agree. This was a series that obviously a lot of people were very much anticipating after what we saw, the dominance that obviously Boston put down on Brooklyn. When everybody was saying, "Oh, don't count out Brooklyn," we can count them out, obviously. And we're not going into those details. We're done with that. We did get a fan question about Brooklyn. Maybe I'll exchange that one out maybe for one of the future questions we got coming up here soon. We'll see. It's an interesting one, to say the least. But nevertheless, you see Boston, obviously, how they're able to dominate that team. They go into this game. A lot of people say, well, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. They're defending champions. They've got Giannis. How do you stop him, right? Well, listen, again, it's not about really stopping him, but they've done a really good job controlling the atmosphere, let's say, kind of around Giannis, right? The Drew Holidays, the Chris Middleton, all that kind of stuff, all having those players kind of at their beck and will to be able to kind of work with, the rest of the team can kind of handle, and it allows guys like Tatum and Brown and obviously Al Horford in this one to be able to go out and have a really big night. So it's not so much stopping Giannis, obviously. It's just about stopping the rest of the unit, which is something we've been saying since these playoffs have started, right? You can't really beat this man one-on-one. It's hard to do. It's almost impossible to do in some ways. But you can beat the Bucks, the rest of the Bucks. It's possible to do that. And I think they've done it. And like you said, though, when guys are not performing, they have guys that step up and make the plays, right? I mean, Marcus Smart has done an incredible job defensively. I mean, there's a reason why, again, he's Defensive Player of the Year. He's done an incredible job shutting guys down. And it's important to note that, because if there's no him, then Drew Holiday's running rampant. Right?
And to the Celtics' credit, they did it without their big man, Rob Williams.
Yes.
And they're going to have to do it again.
Absolutely, yes. Robert Williams now has been ruled out with knee soreness, so he's still dealing with his injury. Obviously, it's another loss, but the way this team plays, again, and it's a team, that's the thing. It's not centered around the superstar being the guy, right? One of the faults kind of with Milwaukee's a team, but one of the faults with Milwaukee is if Giannis is not hitting, then they kind of fall behind, right? If he's not at his best, then there's a chance that they're going to really fall behind. With Boston, like you said, if one guy's not doing it, somebody else is there to pick up the slack, right? Now, if Giannis is dominating, yeah, there's the concern on that, but that's when they say, okay, then nobody else is allowed to be able to get points, right? Nobody else can be that guy. I mean, Wesley Matthews right now is stepping in for the still out man in Middleton, and obviously we saw some moments against Chicago, which we were kind of like, I think you were the one that referenced her, like, how does a 1,000-year-old Wesley Matthews hitting shots from three-point range?
Nonstop.
Yeah, nonstop. Yeah. Nobody's stopping him.
Yep.
Well, Boston is doing a great job at that. They've limited him completely. And
as you should.
As you should be able to.
It's a nice piece to throw in there,
right?
But off the bench, but
yeah, it
shouldn't be that doing that well.
No, not even close.
No,
not even close. But again, this team, would it be different if Middleton was in there obviously playing? Absolutely. I think that becomes a difference maker in the game. But again, this team has done so well with adjusting on the fly and finding ways to switch off of guys at the right time, putting the right person on the right player. I don't think it would be a problem. So kudos to Boston on this one. But now, let's get into it, because Game 5, it's happening tonight. It's going to go down here pretty soon. So, Drew, before this one even gets started, I got to ask you, man. We've got the Celtics. We've got Boston. It's all tied up. It's going to Game 5. Who do you think is going to take the lead in this? Boston's right now favored 5.5 points. The over-under's at 214.5. How do you see this one going?
I'm going to go with Boston in this one.
Okay.
I'm going to say 4-point victory.
Okay.
I think Robert Williams is a nice player for them down low.
Absolutely.
And not having him is gonna hurt them defensively.
Mm-hmm.
But Horford turning back the clock, he's playing great.
Oh yeah.
So that's been a big help for them. Tatum and Brown be more themselves tonight at home with the home crowd cheering them on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna take them by 4, and then I'm gonna go under on this.
Okay. All right. I like that. Oh man. You know what? I'm taking the Celtics too. I had to think on this one for a while. Trust me. While you weren't here, I was like going back and forth in my head. I'm like, Bucks, Celtics. Because obviously, again, it is Giannis. He could take over.
Yep.
But being in Boston, the home crowd's going to be on top of him. There's the energy that comes with being in Boston, being on the Celtics court. There's an aura, if you will, to quote Cam Newton at one point years ago. There's an aura about that stadium that just rocks that arena. So I'm taking the Celtics as well. I will say by 2.5. Going to be a close game. I'm sure Giannis is going to have probably his 40-point game. I'm sure that Drew Holiday is going to try to do everything he can to sink the threes, but I feel like
streaky.
That's the thing is he's now getting to this point where he's not. I don't want to say he's getting older and he's slowing up, but you can kind of see he's not as quick as he maybe used to be. He's not taking as many cuts. He's not trying to make guys miss. He's kind of taking the ball up the court, trying to find a way to distribute it. And if he's got a shot, he's going to take the shot. But he's doing a lot more off-ball stuff. So I think he'll have an off night. He won't have a great night. I expect Wesley Matthews to not really do too much either. I would assume Brook Lopez probably will do whatever he has to do, but I would expect nothing more than Boston probably to win this one 2.5. And I will take the over on this. This could be, I will say this though, there could be a chance that I think maybe this hits the over and maybe the Bucks don't hit over 100 points. I'm just saying.
That's
I know
a blowout.
I know. Yeah, that's really saying something then. But I think there's going to be a lot of defense. There's going to be a lot of like trying to force shots to happen because everybody's going to be locked down on each other. I think because of no Robert Williams, everybody's going to be like nobody's getting anything. So, all right. Well, let's move on to our next one, ladies and gentlemen. The next game that we've got coming up tonight. Well, before that, let's talk about what happened because my goodness, things just haven't seemed to be going the Grizzlies' way as once again it's the Warriors taking another one against them in what I can only describe as an unfortunacy for myself, considering that I thought the Grizzlies would pull this off. But 101-98 was the final score. Obviously, Steph doing what Steph does best, just having himself a game. But Drew, obviously, the Warriors right now, they've got the 3-1 lead. And now we know the news. If you haven't heard, by the way, Ja Morant has a bone bruise. He is doubtful. As far as I have heard, he is not confirmed for tonight, I don't think yet. So it's kind of TBD at this point in time. But I ask you, what did you think about this game? What do you think now about after hearing with Ja Morant being injured and stuff? I mean, what were your thoughts on this game?
I actually didn't get to see a ton of this game, but just judging by how it went.
Yeah.
The fact that the Grizzlies play tough in and out no matter who's on the court. Mm-hmm. So credit to them for that.
Yeah.
For keeping this game close. But with that being said, it still wasn't enough.
Right.
Without your best player. Ja Morant is their best player. You see, he can come into a game, take it over, drop 47, and lead your team to a victory, even against this Warriors team that's very good.
Absolutely.
So with him being out and not going to be playing for the foreseeable future here,
yeah,
I think it's going to be really tough for the Grizzlies. I think the Warriors closed it out, and the Grizzlies have to wait again until next year and hopefully take that next step into becoming the team that reaches the finals instead of almost gets there.
Right, yeah. It is unfortunate. I mean, I think a lot of us are really pulling for the Grizzlies in this one. Now, the chance seems very slim, right? It's a very bleak moment now for them at this point. And not having Ja Morant obviously affected them in the game. But like you said, they did play well. Jaren Jackson Jr. had a great game. I mean, he played fantastic for them. And by the way, give some credit to Tyus Jones as well. To step into that role, to do what he was able to do at the point guard spot. I thought he did great. I thought to step into that and say, you have to take over for this kid who's, by the way, a sensation. And also, by the way, the leading scorer on this team.
Right.
What are you going to do? Well, I thought he did great to step into that role. It's just unfortunate that obviously this is a young team. The rest of the team is still trying to get their legs underneath them in the playoffs. And that was obviously noticeable because the Warriors have been here too many times. They know this thing front to back, up to down, left to right. You can't stop them, right? They know all the tricks and trades of how this thing works. So it's unfortunate. I think going forward, obviously, there's still a chance maybe the Grizzlies go into it. I don't know if Ja Morant, though, comes back. And I want to – that's just me personally, but I ask you, Drew, do you think that there's a chance that Ja does come back into this game, or do you think that it's more likely that he may sit out and just wait for next year?
No, I mean, if he could play, I think he would, but I don't think he can.
Yeah.
All the reports are saying that he's doubtful for a playoff return,
right?
Even if they make finals. So
yeah.
With that, it doesn't sound like he's going to play at all. I think if he could, he definitely would be out there, but he's just not going to be able to.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you never know. This could be this is where, by the way, too, where the Grizzlies can really show, like, okay, who else do they have out there? Obviously, we know Ja Morant. Now you can figure out, is Jaren Jackson Jr. going to be that guy for us? Is Desmond Bane going to be that guy for us? This is where you get to see who are the guys that are going to be huge contributors down the line. But we'll see how this plays out because, folks, it's do or die tonight, late tonight. Warriors are up 3-1. Grizzlies, they need to do this to stay alive. Golden State amazingly is favored by only 2.5 points, which I think is shocking in this. But over-under is at 220.5. Drew, how do you see this one going? I know you said it already, but do you think Memphis really even has a shot at this?
No, not. I don't want to say discount
you never want to say never.
Chance because anybody has a shot on any given day.
Absolutely.
Okay? So I'm not going to totally count them out, but not really.
Yeah.
I think without your best player and all the firepower that the Warriors have, it's just going to be a lot for them to overcome. Like we saw in this last game, they gave it their all, and it still wasn't enough.
Right.
So I think this is going to be, like I said, Golden State closing it out. I think it's going to be. I think that emotion's going to be kind of dragged. It was kind of taken out of them last game, not having their star.
Yeah.
And still not being so close and still not being able to pull it out. I think it's gonna be a downer for them. Like kind of with our hometown team.
Yeah.
Won the one game. Things didn't go well. A star's not there.
And we know that feeling here in Chicago. You get the one game.
I think you're going to see kind of something similar. I'm going to give Golden State say 8 points.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take the over as well.
Okay. I'm with you on that. I'm going Golden State. I'm actually giving them a full 10 points on this one.
That was close.
Yeah, it's just I really want to see the Grizzlies pull this off if they could, just to kind of give that extra emphasis, right? That they're up and coming, and we know they're up and coming. But Golden State, they are who they are. Like Draymond's been a hassle so far for this team inside. It's been very back and forth. They've been very fighting, back and forth and stuff like that. So, and folks, let's not forget. Obviously, they still have Otto Porter Jr., who scored 12 points in this last game that they played. Okay. I can't. Yeah, right. The X factor, right, folks? Yeah. But honestly, this team, I know. Who would have thunk?
You guys got jokes.
Yeah, I know. Every once in a while.
Yeah.
But look, like you said, though, the chemistry's there, the talent's there. They've been here too many times. Their coach, by the way, outmatches, unfortunately, the Grizzlies coach. But, at the same time, it's the future that the Grizzlies are really, I think, more concerned about at this point. Let's get Ja healthy. Let's get back. So I say by 10. I think this does hit the over. I think there's a good chance that they're going to put up some points. The Grizzlies, I think, will be competitive in this. I just assume Golden State will probably at some point run away with this one, no doubt. But that's going to do it for the NBA playoffs here, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, tomorrow we're going to get into the other two teams because that one has, oh boy, those have way more implications than we thought ever before, and they're going to be far more exciting, I'm sure, to watch down the road. But we'll get into those again tomorrow. And when we do come back here, ladies and gentlemen, there is one man who has the golden you-know-what, and he is just letting it all out in the open, getting every bit and every penny you can possibly get. We'll talk about that more right here on the Xbox and the XBomb Sports Live Show. And welcome back here, ladies and gentlemen, to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. I'm still Andrew Valentin. I'm still here with the incredible Mr. Drew Willem himself. And Drew, one of your favorite players from one of your favorite schools, I don't know if you know this, he got a massive deal. Do you know what I'm talking about?
He sure did.
By any chance?
Ooh, happy Bobby.
Yeah.
Happy Bobby Bonilla.
Happy Bobby Bonilla, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. If we did have Happy Brady, we could put up Happy Brady as well, because I'm sure Tom Brady is very happy with this. If you didn't hear, this is the news. Tom Brady has agreed to a 10-year, $375 million deal with Fox Sports to be a NFL news analyst when he officially retires.
He's never broadcasted a game before.
No, he hasn't.
And he's still playing football.
Yeah, and he's still playing football. If you're wondering, this is somewhat similar, though not as large, to obviously Drew Brees, who before he was done playing with the Saints was offered a job to be an NFL analyst as well before he was done playing. Obviously, Brady has completely broken the record on this one with this massive contract. A little bit more about it as well. He will also be working as an ambassador for Fox and will be focusing on client and promotional initiatives as well. So there's more to the job, which to me just kind of feels like, yeah, you're taking phone calls, talking to people, kind of you're being Tom Brady essentially at the party. That's all they're asking is essentially just walk around and say, hey, I'm Tom. Hey, how you doing? That's all it feels like it's going to be. So
do you think he wears all his rings for?
Oh, I would. Are you kidding me? If I was doing that first broadcast, I would be like
showing off
every ring as soon as it just comes up, both hands on the mic, just like, how's it going, everybody? Hope America's just all 7 of them, or probably 8 if he can pull it off on his fingers. But obviously, huge deal, very huge deal. He will also, by the way, too, he will officially be partnered with, at least to this point, it's been announced, he will be partnered with Kevin Burkhardt, who, if you don't know, he's done some college games. He's done some NFL games. He's a pretty well-known announcer. He's going to be the play-by-play guy for Brady as the color commentator, if you will. So, again, obviously, massive, massive deal. A lot on this thing. But, Drew, I'll ask you, man, right off the bat, I mean, a lot of money. What do you think about this? Yeah, a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
What do you think about this deal for Tom Brady? Do you think this is a good career move? I mean, all that kind of stuff. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, $375 million is a good career move. Captain Obvious over here.
I mean, listen, for a guy that's made about $340 million in his career, I'm just asking. Like, I mean, he has an option to say no if he wants to.
The man has more rings than he knows what to do with. Yep. He has more money than he knows what to do with. Mm-hmm. And he's done it in such a smart way to make sure he gets all those rings. And now the ability to sign a 10-year, $375 million deal before you've ever broadcasted a game while you're still playing is pretty awesome, too.
Yeah.
I think that just...
icing on the cake.
It's one more... Yeah, it's icing on the awesomeness that is Tom Brady, okay? Golden, you know what?
Yeah, absolutely. A golden football, ladies and gentlemen. Golden
massive.
Football.
Massive deal. Okay. Yeah. Massive deal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, obviously, this is a huge move for Fox, and I've done a little bit of digging on the details. For those who don't know, this definitely feels like if you don't know, the man who owns Fox, who started Fox, Rupert Murdoch, definitely feels like this was his move. He's like, I want Tom Brady. I want this deal because nobody else is really connected with this thing other than Rupert Murdoch at this point. And that's all I'm saying is just it feels like the guy at the very top was like, yes, him, give him all the money, give him that massive contract. Let's get him in here. Because obviously we have seen this offseason. We didn't really talk about it too much, but there has really been an overhaul of broadcasters on people switching, right? You've got Joe Buck and obviously Troy Aikman leaving. You know, you have Al Michaels now going into, I think it's the Amazon Prime, TJ, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember where everybody's like kind of at and stuff, but you have a lot of mismatches and things like that going on, right? You have a lot, we know like Tony Romo's going to be doing his thing. A lot of people are getting paid to do all this stuff. And now you've got this mega deal for Tom Brady with Kevin Burkhardt going as his play-by-play guy. It certainly feels, it's certainly been like a seismic shake to be like, everybody's got to find their stars, right? Everybody's trying to find their next broadcasting stars. But I ask you this, Drew, because I've been thinking about this, and I have my own thoughts, but I want to get yours first. Do you think that Tom Brady is equipped enough to be able to do the job capable of being a NFL analyst and broadcaster on national television? Personally, yourself.
Absolutely. This guy can basically call offense in the huddle. He doesn't necessarily need an offensive coordinator.
Right.
He knows the system. He's a smart guy. See that in not only on the field, but off the field as well. So this is just another step in his life that he puts everything he has into.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to do a great job at it.
Yeah. I mean, I can agree with that. I know people are going to say I'm going to bash on him. It's not that. It's not that. Because here's the thing. I hold questions about this right now because obviously he's like, you kind of said, he's never done this before, right? He's never done broadcasting. We've seen him. Now, listen, if you've watched Man in the Arena, great Man in the Arena. He's great on the one-on-one interview process and all that stuff. He's very good at being able to talk on the mic. He's certainly a very personable guy. He's not afraid to talk to people and let people know what he thinks. That's what we love about this Brady that we've kind of been able to get to know and see. And almost kind of, by the way, I will say, it does kind of feel like we got gypped a little bit in his time in New England, if I can just say so, because it definitely feels like he could have been a lot more out there, but he was more reserved because of who he was playing with and who the coach was and everything. We didn't get the fullness of Tom Brady kind of until later now. And I wish we could have gotten maybe younger Brady with a little bit more attitude behind him potentially. Because now we hear about these stories where he's like, oh, he's yelling in practice and he's saying all this stuff. And I'm like, I want to see that guy. Like, I would have loved to see that guy in New England. But obviously,
I think we did, because you saw a lot of times where he would go and grab his offensive lineman.
That's
or
true.
be screaming at his offensive lineman. So that was it wasn't a shock to see that, because it was fairly consistent.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, like, let's not. Obviously, one of my favorite moments was when he was having a shouting match with Bill O'Brien. That's one of my favorite moments of Brady's, where they're just going at him on the sideline, and I'm like, are they really about to start fighting with each other? And that's what we like about Tom Brady. My only thing, though, is that obviously the history with a guy like a Tom Brady going into broadcasting is shaky, right? I mean, because for those who don't know, there's obviously been a lot of players that have gone into broadcasting, right? Tony Romo is great at what he does. I like Tony Romo a lot, but obviously he's kind of becoming more of like you're getting used to him, I think, now, at least personally myself, I'm getting used to him. And by the way, he keeps trying to call the play out before it happens, and he keeps getting it wrong now. So now it's like, all right, magic's kind of wearing off a little bit. Just saying, it's like it's wearing off. I mean, Greg Olsen, I love Greg Olsen. I love his explanations. Obviously, I wish they would highlight him more, but I mean, listen, Greg Olsen, Tom Brady, yeah, I get it. It's Tom Brady. He's got the rings. Right. He's got the notoriety. But I look at, like, listen, past history, right? I mean, you guys can probably kind of back me up on this, and I'm sure anybody else who's seen, like, old broadcasts too, right? You've got Joe Montana tried to do broadcasting. That really didn't work out. Magic Johnson tried it. I know that's basketball, but still, he tried to do broadcasting. It didn't really work out. My favorite is the fact that I heard O.J. Simpson only got his broadcasting job because he was friends with Howard Cosell. And if you've ever heard him do a game, which TJ, have you ever heard O.J. Simpson call a game? Yeah, you don't want to, by the way, because it's terrible. He tried to call a game once with Walter Payton in the game. He couldn't get Walter's name right. He kept calling him Payman or Wallace or something like that. He kept getting his name wrong. That's not good. And that's just my biggest thing is, like, as a star player, you know, is he ready to step into that role? Is that, I mean, this is a lot of money to commit to a guy who hasn't done a thing, right? I mean, obviously a lot of people are pointing to, like, Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. Well, they've got, like, their own little casting thing. And I would say, right, but that's through their own production company working with ESPN, and they're doing it on their own terms, right? They're not doing it as, like, a regular broadcast. And I don't know about you, Drew, but I've really enjoyed the Manning cast. I thought it's been good for football, at least. I mean, what are your thoughts for that? I mean, do you think that's something maybe that Brady should potentially try, or do you think he should be like an in the booth kind of guy?
I think Brady, to me, I mean, with the Mannings, they're goofballs,
right?
I mean, I don't see as I think Brady can be, but I don't think he's more of that than I think he's more of a in the booth guy.
Okay,
to me, just at a guess, if I had a guess. So I think I think the Manning cast has been good. People have a lot of fun with it. I think sometimes it's too much. There's too much going on. It takes away from the game.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like watching the game and hearing the breakdown from the analysts that are on there and calling, things out as they see them and breaking down some of the plays where they're doing interviews and kind of, messing around with each other, which is fun as well. But,
right.
I'm more of a watch the game with the regular broadcast for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I kind of go back and forth just because I am interested to hear what they have to say. And like you said, they are goofy, right? I mean, Tom Brady has been on SNL. They've been on SNL. We know they've kind of got funny bones to themselves. I mean, Brady being drunk at the Super Bowl parade obviously is very funny, and it shows he can be far more relaxed, of course. I wonder how he's going to do stepping into that role. Obviously, people are thinking, oh, he's going to be like a Tony Romo, and it's like, well, does he really need to be Tony Romo, or can he just be Brady and just break down the play and just say what's happening, not try to be like, oh, I have to predict what's going to happen? Like, you don't have to do that.
I hope he doesn't come out there trying to predict plays.
Right.
That's great that Tony Romo is able to do it sometimes, but when when you don't do it more often than not, then it's a little gimmicky, and it's like, okay, bud, we get it. You know football. We're glad you know football. Now just talk about it.
Absolutely.
Don't try and guess plays.
Yeah, and listen, I will also say too. I mean, obviously, I said Drew Brees had this whole deal as well, and Drew Brees has never been a commentator either. Well, I don't know, and I'll ask you, Drew, about this, but I'll just say for myself personally, I love Drew Brees as a quarterback. He's one of my favorite of all time, but I do watch him do the broadcast stuff, and I kind of feel like he's hit or miss for me. I don't know. Sometimes he gets the words out right the way he wants to. Sometimes I feel like he's just off, or he just didn't bring all the notes, or he doesn't maybe remember who's on the team. There's sometimes where I just feel like it's not working, right? He just doesn't fit what they're trying to do. But what do you think? I mean, what do you think for like Drew Brees? Obviously, I don't know if Brady would go into that realm, but do you think that maybe Brady would work on that kind of round table setting potentially of maybe even being a broadcaster as well as an analyst per se?
I don't see why not. I think he would be good at that part of it as well. Like, he could sit there and talk football with a few other guys that played, and then just guys that, hosting and analysts. So, which I guess they're all analysts, even though they played football. So that's a position there. But yeah, that would be a good spot for him because, maybe there's a defensive guy up there at the desk with him, and he's, throwing offensively his opinion of view of things that are happening in the game. Whereas from a defensive side of the football, you could have a totally different viewpoint. So I think him at the level he has played and he has gotten to in the NFL is just going to benefit him being able to navigate those situations and talk through all those situations with, about whatever game he's on or multiple games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and speaking of defensive players, and obviously I kind of mentioned the Manning cast and stuff, I'm sure you're very aware of your two Michigan Wolverines doing a wonderful little 30 for 30 by the name of the Tuck Rule. Something that I noticed, I don't know if you noticed, but I saw that, and obviously these two are friends. They played with each other in college. They've gotten to know each other over their pro years. They're linked together forever in history because of this Tuck Rule moment. Looking at these two on the couch, I mean, and you just saw the picture of it, hearing them talk, personally myself, I think that in itself could be a perfect pairing of two guys. Doesn't have to be sitting on the. I mean, if you want to do sitting on the couch, that looks great. By the way, that's great. In the sunny on the couch. I mean, look at that. That's a great. The back and forth they have in this 30. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I mean, tell me, Drew, the back and forth banter between these two as they're discussing it, as they're discussing this play. Tell me, do you think that would make for an exciting back and forth? Charles Woodson and Tom Brady having their own sort of quote unquote Manning cast, if you will. Kind of doing things on their own.
Should have led with, have you seen it yet?
Well, have you?
No, I have not seen it yet.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, I feel like the relationship that they have, being able to have that easy conversation with each other, which is what you strive to go for in what we're doing, is have an easy conversation that it doesn't take much to pull the words out.
Absolutely.
You have compatibility with somebody and some chemistry where you can just keep those conversations rolling, and I feel like they would have that. Obviously, Peyton and Eli Manning are brothers. You would think that has worked out well. This could be something like that, as well as maybe, like you said, the round table at pregame, halftime, and postgame type of deal with Woodson and Brady and maybe a few others.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I would say definitely go watch it. Yeah. I think you will certainly enjoy it, because if you watch them, it is not just like normal talking, right? It's not just that normal, like, oh, yeah, hey, casual. It is clapping in each other's face, saying how wrong the other guy is. It is, I'm telling you, it is quintessential, like, I want to watch these two do a game. I want to watch these two discuss how the defender does this, how the quarterback does that. I want to hear from one of the greatest cornerbacks to maybe ever play the game, and arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, how these two see the game for both sides of the ball. I honestly, Drew, go watch it. I'm telling you, you will see the conversation that these two have is to the level of like college roommates sitting in their dorm arguing about what happened in a Madden game they were just playing with each other, and like going back through the replay saying, no, see, look, like I touched the ball last and then you. It's totally that kind of thing. And I think it's brilliant. And I think that's where they should head with this. And honestly, listen, for 10 years, it feels like if you look at the details, somebody said if you look into the details of this, the first 5 years, it's like Fox really gets kind of the strong point on this. The last 5 years, though, Brady gets a lot of kind of like openness to work with, which I think is another thing that you can throw in there, because let's not forget, he's working on a production company right now. He's got T-shirts and clothing he's putting out. He obviously has his whole TB12 program for health and fitness and all that stuff.
Let's get real. Brady can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yes,
okay?
Exactly. I'm sure he can make his own car. Yeah. The TB12 ride, you know.
He's gonna clone himself soon.
Yeah, I'm sure
and
he will.
Live forever.
Yes, absolutely.
And be an NFL quarterback forever.
Yes, we will just get young Tom Brady yet again.
It gets even more golden every time too.
That golden football, ladies and gentlemen.
His Schwinky.
Yeah, exactly.
Gold.
It's very true. Yeah. It is. If you don't watch Ted 2.
Ted 2.
But I honestly think that the move that he's making with Fox, I think is going to be great, especially for the fact that he's trying to do so much. He's got great connections now. Obviously, he's got a connection right at the top now with who's kind of been in charge of this whole thing. I think it's great for Tom Brady. I think it's going to be great for broadcasting. Obviously, as two aspiring broadcasters ourselves, this obviously ups the market ante. I don't know if
anybody wants to sign me for $375 million, I'm right here.
I was going to say,
I'll be ready and waiting.
He's worth it, folks. Honestly, he's really.
I'll even take like one. Just one.
I'll take a fraction of that at this point, like an eighth or a tenth or whatever it is of it.
Just one.
Yeah, just one. I seriously, it's a lot of money. It's a lot to commit to. I'm really hoping that.
If anybody likes what I do, you can Venmo me and send me money. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
There you go. Yes, if only we had the Venmo to flash underneath. But I hope he can do well. Obviously, who knows when he will officially retire. It feels like it'll never end at this point. A lot of people think it might be his last year. But it should be an interesting one nonetheless. But never. Congratulations to you, Tom. Something came up right there. I wanted to vomit, but it came back down because I'm just like, God, $375 million. You lucky, you know what, you. But congratulations to Tom Brady on his mega deal. Well, folks, that's going to do it for obviously this part. And when we do come back, yes, it is the game that we all love to play, but with a little bit of a twist. That's right. It is Player Swap. And it is coming at you right now next.
Like a counterclockwise swirl?
Yes. Okay. Counterclockwise swirl. Coming at you next here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show.
Hey, watch your mouth. Why? I'll just put a quarter in the swear jar. Once it's filled, we get a Coors party after work. I've been drinking Coors since my college days. The cold draft taste is second to none. Yeah, worth a recorder, am I right? You know it, mother.
Hey, you get those reports done?
Yeah. No. You, sir. Attention, employees.
The staff meeting, scheduled for this evening, will now be held tomorrow early as
Result? Dudes, we're only 75 cents short. Oh, shh. Boss. Hey, sir, go yourself. You're fired! I still get beer.
And welcome back, everybody.
Broke
here.
'em.
Yep, broke me.
I
Welcome back,
broke
everybody,
him.
here to the X-Pump Sports Live Show.
You're
If you want to
welcome.
know what we were talking about on the side, you can catch that on the off the podcast stuff that we've got going on. Thank you, Drew.
The
for that.
rated R version.
Yeah, the triple X version.
Mature.
of-
TVMA.
Yeah, TVMA for
Yeah.
X-Bomb Sports. Damn you, Drew. Folks, if you're just joining us now, we just talked about the NBA playoffs with the Bucks, Celtics, Warriors, Grizzlies. We talked about Tom Brady's massive deal. And now we get to our favorite game, the game that you all love to play. That is right. It is time for Player Swap, but with a bit of a twist. So as you know, on Player Swap, what we usually do is we take players, we swap them with other players on other teams, and we predict the outcome of how that would be. But today's player, I don't know why we got a bunch of asks for this, and I think it's because he's just a free agent sitting out there that a lot of teams could
Floating
probably
around
use.
in limbo.
Absolutely. So I didn't know how to play this, but Drew came up with a good concept, and that is free agent wide receiver Jarvis Landry, former of the Cleveland Browns. So for his numbers, obviously not very productive, 52 catches, 570 yards, 2 touchdowns. Obviously not a great year for him for sure, but as Drew had suggested to us, since he is a free agent, wouldn't it be best if we put him on the teams? And I chose teams, obviously, that he would probably be going to anyways, if we just paired him on that team anyways as a free agent, considering he's sitting out there in limbo. So I figured we'll take that route, see how it come out with our predictions on how we think it's going to go. So, Drew, are you ready to do this revised version of Player Swap?
Yeah. I'm ready. We'll see how this one goes.
Absolutely.
With Jarvis Landry here.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So let's do it. The first one we're going to do, Jarvis Landry on the Green Bay Packers. Why? Because they need help. Listen, I would have done Christian Watson as their lead receiver, but as of this point, Alan Lazard even matched against Sammy Watkins as their lead receiver.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But let's just say Jarvis Landry were to finally get picked up by the Green Bay Packers, as been suggested by many people. So, Drew, how do you see Jarvis Landry fitting for the Green Bay Packers? Do you think that they actually improve? Do you think that this is the move to get them over the hump? I mean, what are your thoughts?
They got a bunch of young guys in this draft at the receiver position.
Mm-hmm.
Restocked that area of need. So that's a bunch of young guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Alan Lazard, he's a nice piece to that puzzle. But who would you rather have kind of leading that crew?
Right.
Alan Lazard, Sammy Watkins, or Jarvis Landry?
Mm-hmm.
I would go with Jarvis Landry. He's going to make any team better just for his veteran leadership that, he's been there forever. I don't think he has a problem with players in the locker room. I don't think he has a problem with the wide receiver room unless somebody gives him crap.
Right.
But which he'll stand up to him, no problem.
Yeah,
from what
absolutely.
you hear from him. And I think that adding him to this team is going to be a nice veteran piece, a nice trustworthy piece out there that Rodgers could build a chemistry with fairly quickly, I would think.
Yeah.
And be a nice piece in that wide receiver room for all the young players.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh God, listen, Jarvis Landry's a really good player. I think he would revert back to being 80, 90 catches. I think he would have over 1,000 yards. I don't know how many touchdowns he would necessarily have because this team now has some good young pieces, like you said, and some decent veteran ones, right? Alan Lazard, we know, is 6'5". They got Christian Watson, who's now also 6'5".
Yep.
Thanks, Minnesota.
And fast.
You jerks.
Yep.
Yeah, and very fast. Obviously, though, I've heard a lot on terms of his route running. It needs a lot of improvement. Vision for the ball needs a little bit more improvement as well. Even with that, I would still have liked to see the Bears take him, but nevertheless, there's work to be done. Sammy Watkins, we know, is a decent enough receiver.
Run
healthy. That's the problem. But adding Jarvis Landry, I think he doesn't even need to be the out wide receiver. I feel like he could be a 1,000-yard receiver from the slot, and we've seen that with like Julian Edelman, right? You can work from the slot, still be a star receiver.
I feel like that's where he plays best.
Absolutely.
Is out of the slot, being able to those crossing routes over the middle and gain yards after the catch.
Absolutely. He's a possession receiver, which means he's not looking for the big play down the field. He can certainly do it, but he's more so make the catch, get up the field, yards after the catch. If you can get a break one loose, that's great. But I feel like you have your game breakers in a Christian Watson.
Yeah.
Maybe, like you said, if he's healthy, maybe Sammy Watkins because he still has the speed. And then you have an Alan Lazard that I think can be like your tall man that works out wide and can be your man in the slot. It's going to be a lot of interchanging wide receivers for sure. As far as if they do get to the playoffs or not, sure, I think they get to the playoffs. I think they're probably another 12-5, 13-4. Again, though, I just don't feel like they would have the firepower to work against a team like Los Angeles, like Tampa Bay. I don't even know if they can do it. Yeah,
the receiver class pans out for them.
Right, exactly.
If they find more guys like Devontae Adams that come out of a later round pick,
right,
they're gonna have something.
Yeah, if Christian Watson can be the guy that takes the defense, takes the top off of defense, that's great. But as it stands right now, he's a rookie. We have to see what happens. But even if he did become a guy that takes the defense off the top, as big as fast as he is, Los Angeles is still prepped very good defensively to put pressure on Rodgers.
Yep.
He's getting older. The offensive line needs still improvements to some degree because they're getting older. And obviously Jalen Ramsey, he's a very good corner, and he finds a way to shut guys down that are larger than him. We've seen him do it against Mike Evans many times. I mean, even though there's that infamous moment now where Mike Evans is clearly burning him. But still, it has happened, folks. We've seen it.
Refs don't like Jalen Ramsey. The receivers didn't get away with some pushes there.
That's true. That's true. Ask T. Higgins, folks. Ask T.
Ooh.
Higgins. Yeah, shots fired on that one, folks.
That was nasty.
Yeah, it was.
Nasty push off.
Super Bowl, baby. A lot of things count. Damn it. But nevertheless, I think 12-5, 13-4. But I don't think I don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl. I just don't think even adding him to the receiving corps is not going to be enough to put them over the top. They need so much more, and it's really on the defensive side of the ball. That's the problem. And again, I still don't even know, and now I don't know what's going on with their running back situation. Because I feel like they're committed still to Aaron Jones, but A.J. Dillon's really emerging as like
I think they're going to use them both as a 1-2 punch like they did last year. They're going to go about that the same way this year.
Yeah.
Maybe even increase their running game, running usage throughout the season.
Absolutely. And by the way, too, for folks who don't know, Jarvis Landry is a pretty good, decent pass blocking, a run blocking wide receiver. He can do the work.
Yes.
He can do that dirty work. So putting him in the slot would open up a lot of things for Jones and for Dillon to be able to run pretty well off edge if they need to. So expect that. Now, let's move on to the next one, shall we?
This one shouldn't take long.
Yeah. Jarvis Landry on the Houston Texans. With Brandon Cooks being their only receiver, who even in a lost year still had a pretty decent season. for what he was able to accomplish with a rookie quarterback who nobody thought was going to do anything. Drew, Jarvis Landry pairing up with Brandon Cooks and Davis Mills in a rebuilding Houston Texans team. What does that do for the Texans for the coming years?
I would have taken Cook's numbers for any Bears receiver last year.
Yeah.
Just pick one. Just one.
I mean, listen, if they really wanted to have traded one of those second round picks for him, I wouldn't have said no to that.
Yeah,
honestly.
he's been a good player for them as long as he's been there.
Yeah.
Adding another veteran piece along with Cooks to play in the slot while you got Jarvis or Brandon Cooks on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Jarvis Landry in the slot, it's going to make things easier for Davis Mills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, young quarterback, having veteran weapons who knows what they're doing out on the field and where to be, and a professional out there.
Right.
So gonna make it to their spots, not gonna dog it, and that's what Jarvis Landry is. He's a hard worker. He's a hard player. So I think it would be a nice piece to add for a young quarterback who, has showed some nice things later in the season, but still has some progression to make as well.
Right.
Obviously, they didn't address that position yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they know where this team's at.
Yeah.
And where they were able to draft Davis Mills. What they've seen from him so far, they're going to definitely go on with him and see if this could be the guy.
Let me ask you a question here to follow up. So, and you probably know where this will go as soon as I say the name. So we know Baker Mayfield right now, sitting in Cleveland, may or may not get cut. Obviously, there's a lot to.
Houston didn't want him.
Houston obviously didn't want him, but if
for
you
free?
if
Well, not
you
for
were to
free.
get him for cheaper, let's say, and you did sign Jarvis Landry, would you? Let's say you're the GM for Houston, right? You know that these two in his rookie year obviously played well together. They got Jarvis Landry to help Baker Mayfield. That was pretty obvious. They had a pretty good connection. I feel like OBJ kind of disrupted that a little bit. But nevertheless, you as the general manager, you've signed Jarvis Landry. Baker Mayfield's just been cut by the Browns. For a cheap price, bringing him in potentially as the quarterback, would you do that knowing he has the connection with Jarvis Landry? No,
I wouldn't bring him in. At this point, I from what it seems like and what their actions have shown, they're not going after quarterbacks. They're giving Davis Mills the shot to see if he's the guy.
Yeah,
because he put up some solid numbers with not a lot to work with at the end of last season for a nice stretch there.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, I've seen what Baker Mayfield has done out on the field with a lot more talent than what the Houston Texans have had.
Yeah.
So I'm giving the younger player a shot who they just drafted last year to see if he can continue that, take those next steps with some more weapons and see what he can be.
Okay. All right. I like that. I'll just say really quick, Jarvis Landry makes this team a lot better. I think they can probably be 7-10, maybe even 8-9 on their best. That's also saying, too, by the way, Davis Mills progresses. But when you have two veteran wide receivers instead of just one, for a young quarterback, I can only imagine that's going to help him a lot. I mean, if you ask a lot of young quarterbacks, what's really nice about having two veteran wide receivers, they both know exactly what they're doing. So when I make a mistake, they know how to exactly adjust, and then they help you adjust. So with a guy like Davis Mills, I mean, like you said, too, for everyone that's out there wondering, Baker Mayfield, 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Davis Mills, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. One less touchdown, but 3 less interceptions. I think a lot of people would probably take that. I think the Bears would probably have taken that. But I still like Justin Fields, nevertheless. But, Houston, I think, gets better. That division gets a little bit tougher. I mean, they added some pieces, by the way, in this draft. Let's not forget that. And, by the way, can we also not forget, they also have John Mechie III that's going to be on the outside.
That's what I was just looking up. I was like, I knew they got a young wide receiver to add to that mix, too.
So if he's on the outside with Cooks, that's speed, as long as Mechie is healthy, of course. Adding Landry to the slot, that gives a lot of options now to Davis Mills.
Plus some offensive line help, running back.
Yeah, a couple of running backs.
Getting some pieces.
Yeah, Texans are in the process of a rebuild. I think this just helps their rebuild advance that much more. Obviously, how much you pour into the salary cap is going to be a question again for Jarvis. we've discussed this before. Jarvis fired an agent. He hired a new one because he wants to get a lucrative deal. 30 years old. I don't know if he's getting that deal, but who knows, right? Somebody might be willing to pay the price for the talent. You never know.
He's not a number one.
No.
He's not a number one.
He's not a number one.
He's going to have to take number 2 money, and he's going to have more than 52 receptions, 570 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
That's not number one money. That's
like
not number 2 money. Yeah,
that's like number 3 or 4 money.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
3rd or 4th on the depth chart. You're lucky if you're playing at that point.
Yeah. And what do players' contracts in the NFL? What have you done for me lately? What have you shown me recently?
Yeah.
That's what he's going to. The offers.
Everyone's going to look at that.
That's probably why he hasn't been signed yet, because he's getting money for those numbers.
Right.
Not for what he did in the past.
Absolutely.
Like years ago.
Yeah.
It's more recency bias here.
Right.
That's what they look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you got to understand about this. It is all about nobody cares about, yesteryear and all that stuff. What have you done for us lately? Like you said, those numbers just do not pan out as what you want. But let's get to the next team. So we've got Jarvis Landry on the New York Giants. Obviously, this is interesting because the Giants right now still have, if I'm not mistaken, they have their receivers. I still think Sterling Shepard's on the team, if I'm not mistaken. Do not quote me on that if it's not the case. I believe he still might be on the team.
Free agent.
But as of right now, it is Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay as their 2 top receivers. As you can see, that's their combined numbers. So just so everybody knows, Toney 39 receptions, 420 yards. Galladay 37 receptions, 521 yards. Shepard was the only one with a touchdown. If you're wondering where that touchdown came from, he had 36 catches for 366 yards. And the touchdown. So that has been the Giants' numbers. Obviously, the Giants had a lot of issues. There's now the question of what will happen with Daniel Jones. Will they go for a new quarterback? Certainly kind of feels like it's trending in that path right now as it sits. But, Drew, I guess I'll throw it to you now. I mean, Jarvis Landry on the Giants, I guess we would say probably joining in with Kadarius Toney because he hasn't been traded at this point, and Kenny Golladay, who right now looks certainly like a bust on the money that he's getting paid. But what are your thoughts for Landry maybe joining in with that Giants team?
I think, again, same kind of deal as Houston. There's some young players, or sorry, not Houston, Green Bay.
Yeah.
A lot of young receivers on this team. A lot of young talent on this team.
Yeah.
Can they be professionals on the field? We've seen some issues with Toney between them and the team.
Absolutely.
Galladay can't stay on the field. Sterling Shepard seems to get hurt every year. So they have got a rookie in Wan'Dale Robinson from Kentucky this year too.
Yep.
They got some offensive line help. Or they got a lot of offensive line help.
Yes.
They got some players on defense. Adding Jarvis Landry, a veteran leader presence for these younger wide receivers, kind of get them together a little bit better. I think that would be not only a benefit on the field, but a benefit off the field with these young guys.
Yeah.
So I think he would be a nice piece for, again, a quarterback who has a lot to prove, who they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So it's you better prove it this year or you were going to be somewhere else, probably backing up someone elsewhere.
Yeah. I listen, I feel like Daniel Jones is sort of in the same category as Davis Mills in a lot of ways. They're almost kind of very similar players if you look at them. In almost every single way, almost to their height and how they even look. Mills is just blonde, he's brunette. But that doesn't make either one of them smarter or dumber in any way. They're just both kind of average quarterbacks. So I think Jarvis Landry going there would certainly benefit Daniel Jones. Now no longer having Evan Ingram. Now you have to find a guy that can work over the middle. He certainly can do that. I think I agree with you, Drew. He would help the young receivers, right? Kadarius Toney, hey, calm down. You don't have to get angry about every missed opportunity. It would help Waddell Robinson a lot with his growth because he is I would say he's a very unpolished gem at this point. He can certainly be a star. It was not too long ago this guy was like a top receiver in the country in high school. Obviously, he's transferred from Nebraska to Kentucky, and now he's going to New York, where I don't know how much of the ball he's going to see. But he can certainly be a weapon on the outside. And I think there's a chance that Galladay might not even start at that point then, if I'm being completely honest. Obviously, he's getting paid a lot of money, so you would think, well, he's going to get forced to start. But listen, Landry's a more surefire catcher than when it comes to his hands than I think Galladay is at this point. And you might say maybe Tony's got to take a break in the slot a little bit before you maybe move him out wide as the number 2 potentially. I don't know how much this helps the Giants. They have a lot to work on. I think this certainly helps put the plan together for a guy like Brian Daboll. Gives him a veteran wide receiver, let's say that, right? Gives him a surefire veteran wide receiver that's been proven to work in the past, and you can work, I think, in that kind of Buffalo Bills offensive package. Do you have the right quarterback? I don't think so. I don't think Daniel Jones is it. When you do get the right quarterback, though, I think you can see Landry will be a great threat, kind of like Gabriel Davis was over the middle, just an older version of Davis.
They haven't done Daniel Jones very many favors.
No,
either.
they haven't. And hopefully Evan Neal with Andrew Thomas can be the containers on the outside. Obviously, you got to worry about what's in the middle as well, but you got your edges kind of set. So, and this defense is rebuilding too, although they just released Bradbury, which I don't think was the right move, but we'll see.
It's like I saw that and I was like, damn, maybe if the Bears would have gotten a wide receiver first instead of the corner, they could have just gone and signed Bradbury with all that freaking money you have.
Yeah.
I know you couldn't plan for that, but damn it, I saw that and that's exactly what went through my head. I
was thinking, I'm like, boy, he's been a pretty good player.
Yeah,
so.
He's been a very good player.
Yeah. A little news too before we continue on with this. If you're wondering for the Bears, just to drop this knowledge out there, Hornstead has been released, failing his physical. But don't fret not, folks, because the Bears have an Oakland quarterback.
Nathan Peterman. Woohoo! Oh, great. Those are the players that we're signing out of the free agent stack right now. Nathan Peterman.
Yep. So I just wanted to throw that nugget out there for everybody. I'm glad I let you say the name because I know you.
I saw that.
I know you was probably biting at your heels a little bit there because I saw that. I'm like, oh, so this is the direction they're going in. Great.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
If Justin Fields is the man or not.
Yeah. Oh, well, they would have been the man if they would have just signed maybe this man right here. But because I don't think I'm going to be honest. I think the Giants have a season somewhat similar to what the Bears did this year. Just a lot more interceptions than touchdowns. I don't know if even Jarvis Landry would make too much of a difference in this one. It's just because there's a lot of uncertainty on this. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Giants are actually a team that might be in play to take him. Again, though, it all comes down to contract. That's the biggest thing on this. But let's move into the one that we dare not see happen because we know the guy could probably find a way to get it done. It is Jarvis Landry on the New England Patriots. Because, of course, they are still connected. They are still linked. Belichick is still talking with his agent, apparently. They're still trying to figure out if they can maybe make some sort of deal happen. After last year, obviously, Jacoby Meyer was their top receiver. He finally caught a couple of touchdown passes in his career. Thank God. I felt so bad for the man being a receiver. I'm like, is he going to be the first 10,000-yard receiver that never gets a touchdown? Is he really going to trend in this fashion? So, but he got a couple finally. So, obviously, Drew, we know the New England Patriots last year, they made the playoffs. It didn't end well for them. But after what they did last year, adding Jarvis Landry to that receiving core, to that team that they are starting to build up more and more, what do you see Jarvis Landry doing for the New England Patriots going forward?
Being a solid slot option for them again.
Okay.
Like just kind of guy Bill Belichick would like, I think.
Okay. Leading receiver, you think?
I don't want to say leading receiver.
Okay.
He should be right around that Jacoby Myers numbers with receptions.
Okay.
Probably higher.
Yeah.
As far as yardage, right. He could be back around that 1,000-yard mark.
Mm-hmm.
Just used in the right ways and being able to do different things with him. But yeah, again, I feel like he'd be a Bill Belichick guy. He'd be a nice piece to add to a receiving core that doesn't have a ton.
Yeah.
They need more weapons. Yeah, they drafted a young player. They got Devontae Parker in here along with what they've had. So adding another piece to that would be very beneficial to them and a guy who can just plug and play, and he's going to start for you.
Yeah.
Pretty much every game. He doesn't miss a lot, so I think it would be a nice piece for a team in need of wide receiver help.
Absolutely. I think this is probably the perfect situation for him, right? You have a team right now that's really building itself off of a steady ground game along with a surefire quick pass, the screen passes stuff. This is one of those guys that is perfect for your screen passes, right? That bubble screen, he sets a great pick. He's great at blocking for that, yards after the catch stuff. He's also great at being the screen receiver as well. So he adds that firepower that Belichick needs. And again, he loves his veteran wide receivers. He loves to put them in the slot. He loves to work them out.
Like you said earlier, his blocking for this running game that Belichick likes to run the ball a lot too. So perfect in the run game.
Damian Harris is having himself a wonderful day with Ramondre Stevenson.
Yep.
They're going to have a good offense at that point. I don't know if they're challenging the Bills, but I will say I'm saying the Bills are probably 13-4 on the year.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. Bills are 13-4 on the year.
We're so good we can draft a sick punter. Okay? In the 4th round.
That's crazy.
We can draft a punter in the 4th round.
Yeah, the punt god,
that
folks.
Good.
Yeah.
That wasn't the 4th, but whatever.
Well,
close enough.
Listen, the dude punts at 80 yards on the reg. I'd take him too, probably. But I would say this team's probably 11-6. They might be able to stretch it to 12-5 because I don't think the Jets are going to be much. I still think the Miami situation is not going to be improved. By the way, if you haven't seen that video where he underthrows Tyreek Hill yet, folks, check it out. It's a doozy. Not like I've been saying that or anything, but we're not talking about that anyways. Jarvis Landry, I think, just to the New England Patriots, it just makes too much sense. Again, it's going to come down to contract. I think he wants the big deal, but if you want a chance to be able to win, I think New England is the perfect place for him to do it. It'd be the perfect opportunity for him to excel at his skills. And quite frankly, he doesn't have to do everything then either. There's a lot of guys then that can do a lot of stuff. All right, and last but not least, I put this one on there because I feel like this was one that I think has not been mentioned, but I feel like they need to consider it at least, just because they have already a very solid receiving core.
Do they?
Yeah, I'm just.
Oh, do they?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm about to squash that.
Yeah, it's all right. All right, that's fine. That's fine. But it's the Denver Broncos. Jarvis Landry on the Denver Broncos. Obviously, I did this with the intention of doing a player swap, and that was going to be Courtland Sutton because he's been really their top receiver. Jerry Jeudy has not really popped yet. Tim Patrick's more of their big slot receiver right now. Could he be their guy? Maybe. I don't know. But right now, I would say it's Courtland Sutton. They've kind of planned for him to, I think, to be their guy, essentially. But with this being said, obviously, he's then going there as a free agent. So he's going into what's already, you're talking Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, we can't forget about. So there's already like 4 really decent wide receivers. Adding Jarvis Landry to that, Drew, I'll ask you kind of in 2 parts. Do you think this is a move, obviously, that you think the Denver Broncos need to make and should make? And then let's just say that they do make this move. What do you think Jarvis Landry then does for this new look Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson, as we know now, at quarterback?
Do they need to? No. I do not believe so.
Okay.
I'm going to stay consistent with what I've said about this Broncos team, and there were wide receivers all along.
Right.
And adding a Russell Wilson to the mix and an offensive coordinator or a head coach who's offensively going to add some things or be able to do things with this team that they couldn't do last year with Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, okay? Like throw the football.
Yeah.
When you
throw the football consistently.
Exactly. When you have guys like Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy who are uber talented players.
Yes.
And they're getting 2 targets a game. Targets.
Yes.
Being targeted twice a game. And maybe end up with no catches, maybe end up with 2 catches. It's not enough.
Right.
Guess what? They have an offensive line, running game, and these guys playing wide receiver are really good players. Now we're going to see what that comes to be.
Right.
This is the year I think we're going to see the big time coming out party for these weapons and these wide receivers. Okay. You're going to be able to see that talent being used the right way. Love me some Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
Hasn't been able to find an offensive coordinator to come in and do the things on offense that the NFL offenses need to do nowadays.
Right.
Cortland Sutton's going to be, I think, definitely, it can be a 1,000-yard guy. Tim Patrick's already been there doing things. It feels like he scores a touchdown every week, or he's getting you a handful of yards.
Right.
And we looked at it in fantasy football. This Tim Patrick's like, he's getting you about 10 points every week.
Yeah.
So
he's consistent.
He's the one that's been doing more consistent things for them.
Right.
Getting KJ Hamler back, a very speedy wide receiver to add to this mix. Plus the route running of Jerry Jeudy, being able to get open. And now you have a quarterback who's going to hit them when they're open.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think Jarvis Landry is a guy they need to go after at all. I think they have enough here, and they're going to finally see that. You didn't see them go after those positions.
Yeah.
Okay? So I think they believe that these are the guys that Russell Wilson has more than enough weapons to use to be successful in this offense.
Yeah.
Where bringing him in is just, they don't really need it.
Right.
If he were to be there, you stick him in the slot, and he's going to be a nice weapon. He's going to be a beneficial player for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Over a young guy who's been hurt and still has a lot to prove.
Right.
So it would benefit them. I just don't think they need to do it.
Okay. All right. That's why I asked the question. And I mean, I brought this with the intention of doing the player swap for Cortland Sutton and them, because my whole thinking was that he comes in, which moves then Jerry Jeudy to the number 1. Tim Patrick probably is your slot, possibly battles for the number 2 with a older veteran in Jarvis Landry, who can still fly down the field. Let's not discredit him. He still has some wheels on him. He is getting older, but he can still run. But with him coming on the team, I feel like this may make, and I know this, you said, I like Tim Patrick a lot. But I think this would make him probably expendable for a draft pick potentially, because as good as Tim Patrick is, you're bringing in a veteran wideout that can be dependable, that can be the go-to guy potentially for Russell Wilson while he's filling out this offense, and be a connection for him on third down. He's a really good third down receiver, Jarvis Landry. He really is.
If you could swap him with Tim Patrick and not have to pay a ton for him, I'd do that in a second.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
that's probably not going to be the case.
For what he's going to cost,
right.
I don't think they need to do it.
No, exactly. Here's what I say for this. If you want to, because here's the thing. Tim Patrick, to me, I feel like is a lesser version, if you will, of Marquise Colston, for those who don't remember Marquise Colston. Not exactly a little bit faster, but he's great on third down as well. He's very big, solid. He can get those yards, right? He's always Mr. Dependable. Obviously, Colston was a giant that could work outside. That's very different. I actually do think Tim Patrick can be a wideout. Bears, I'm just saying, like, if you really, only a third-round pick would probably be what it costs.
Sorry, they're tying up
No, yeah, right. I'm
their
so
money
sorry.
on Nathan Peterman.
That's right. I'm just saying, if you want a receiver, I do think Tim Patrick, not your number 1, but could be a decent number 2 wideout. Pairing him with Darnell Mooney, I think, would be great. But aside from that, Jarvis Landry comes in. I think that's a great weapon for Russell Wilson. Gives him a guy who he knows, they're friends, they understand each other. I know they haven't played with each other, but it gives him a guy that he can say, I'm depending on him. It allows him to then work the relationship with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, grow with those guys, and now you have a passing offense that I think is just fluid, right? Plus KJ Hamler, and let's not forget Javonte Williams. Obviously, he's still in the backfield, and he is going to be Roger Craig-esque, I feel like, coming out of that. And I know that's saying a lot, but I don't think he's going to be 1,000 like
and Melvin Gordon, who still had a very good year last year as well.
I'm still surprised they have not moved him.
It's going to be a good team.
Yeah, this Denver Broncos team might be something. I mean, the West is going to be insane. Yep. But Jarvis Landry, I think, going on that team means a lot to that group. But be it Jarvis Landry or Tim Patrick, I don't think you're not losing much in either way. Honestly, I'm serious, man. Take a shot. If it cost, answer this. If it cost you just a third round pick.
No, I'm
not even for Tim Patrick.
No, I don't. He's not. If it costs like a 6th round pick, sure. But
okay.
I
course.
think he's a solid player, but I don't think he's a number 2 on a team. I don't think he's necessarily. He'd be like a number 3 somewhere where you have 2 very good wide receivers.
Okay, all right.
For me.
All right, that's fine. I mean, listen, if it doesn't even cost you a 3rd-round pick, like you said, if it goes for a 6th, by all means, do it. I'd even do a 5th, but that's just me.
I think he'd be a guy that would come here and fade away.
Okay, I'm just trying to get Justin Fields help, considering that Ryan Paul's
I'm
really
down
did.
for help.
I know,
for
yeah.
Sure.
If only we can get you in that GM chair, Drew. Someday we will do it. I swear.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about. Not a clue.
No, you know what? I think you're a brilliant man. Next to especially a guy like Ryan Pace, I think all of us probably look like geniuses compared to what he's done in the past.
Great hair.
Yeah, it was great hair.
Great
well,
hair.
Listen, I can't short myself. All right, enough. That's it. Then we're out of here. We're done with the show.
Stroking yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. Well, what am I talking about? I just, God, I just can't help myself. All right, Drew, as always, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Absolutely.
It was great to talk some football with you. Great to talk some basketball with you. We got a lot more to talk about tomorrow, obviously.
NFL schedule drops tomorrow night.
That's right. I can't wait for it. Obviously, we won't be able to get to it because it's dropping at like 8 o'clock or something like that. But we will talk about that next week. I promise you. I wanted to talk about it today because I thought it was coming out today. So thanks, NFL. Or actually, thanks, Tom Brady, we found out, because since he unretired, it screwed up the scheduling thing, and that's why it got set back. So it really should have released sooner, but because Mr. Golden Football had to come in and screw things up, now I got to wait. So
the NFL always finds a way to keep you sucked in.
Absolutely. But
happy Tom.
Yeah, happy Tom.
That's going to be a thing.
Happy Tom. Yeah, you know what?
Bobby Bonilla.
Happy Bobby Bonilla. Happy Tom Brady. Sad Tom Brady. One of our fans, by the way, suggested that if any moment any one of us were to become unruly or they didn't like what we were talking about, they could just throw up something that obviously makes us both very upset. Don't worry, I don't have the pictures up. I don't. But they made the suggestion if I were ever upset with you, I could just say, put up the picture and make you mad. Of course, then you could do the same with me.
Coming after that.
Saying, put up the picture, and obviously they'd throw up Ben Simmons, and I would get upset as well. So don't worry, folks. He didn't. He's only threatened me. Only notes in my locker. It's okay. He did put the pudding in my face, though. But Drew...
Oh, no.
So we're back in
I
high
don't
school.
waste pudding.
Right, yeah. No, who'd want to waste pudding? All right, well, Drew, thank you so much, of course, for joining me. Please let the people know where they can find you, listen to you, stuff me in a locker, all that kind of good stuff.
Guess which locker?
Yeah.
I don't even know. But you can find me right here on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and check me out on Instagram at d.gwil25 and Facebook at Drew Gwillem.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure to go check out Drew. Go give him a follow, give him some love. Any questions or comments you have, make sure to hit him up. Guys, obviously, if you want to follow me, I'm at TheFluffyGuru on Twitter as well, but you guys can find me at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram most of the time as it is. If you want to follow our show, see our live stream, we are back on Facebook. That's right, facebook.com/TeamXBombSports. You guys can find us every Wednesday and every Thursday, hitting it up, and you can also find us on the YouTube side as well. That's right, on the YouTube channel, XBomb Sports. We are simulcasting this again every Wednesday and every Thursday. We're trying to hit this thing as much as we possibly can, so be on the lookout for that as well. Also, too, as well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to follow us on our Instagram and Twitter at XBomb Sports. And if you have any questions, any comments, anything like that at all, make sure to hit us up at xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. We want to hear your questions and comments. We got a few questions coming from you guys for tomorrow, potentially. I may shift a few around. I had some in the works. I may actually switch them up. I've just since got a few more emails from you guys that I've seen, so I may go to those questions as well. There's some doozies in there I really like, and also can get me pretty heated as well, because I know how much you guys love seeing me angry. Now let's get to the podcast stuff. Shout out to Blow the Whistle. Catch us on the radio, sportsoundchicago.com every Monday, 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time. It's been a while. David, unfortunately, vocal cords are inflamed right now, so he's gonna have to take a little bit of a break right now. Just shut up.
Why are you laughing?
Stop.
Why are you laughing at him?
So yeah, please, let's hope he gets better. Also, too, guys, make sure to go check him out every Tuesday. We weren't able to do a show today or yesterday for Below the Whistle, but you guys can check him out every Tuesday. 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Central Time on Facebook and, of course, YouTube. We got to change that. Yes, Brandon Janeska, 94.3 WMKR, 90s Hour at 9. Genuine Country, also, too. Baseball Banter with Brandon as well. And then, of course, make sure to go check out our girl, Hannah B. She's at Monday Motivation with Hannah B. And she's also doing her thing at 102.3 XLC, The Afternoon Drive. And I guess congratulations is in order as well. Congratulations to you, Hannah, as she is officially working with the ever-famous Mr. Eddie Volkman. She's doing mornings now with him. I don't have the station in front of me. I do apologize.
96.7.
96.7. Yes, I'm so sorry. I was blanking. There's a lot rushing through my head right now, mainly with David and his voice. But congratulations to you, Hannah. We really...
What's going on?
Stop it. Congratulations, Hannah. We are very proud of you. We're so happy that you were able to get this chance. She's becoming very, very big, ladies and gentlemen. She's going places right now. Make sure to check her out. She's already doing a great job on the mornings. I listen to you in the morning, Hannah. So and you're killing it right now. And also, too, ladies and gentlemen, check out our boys at the Parlay. That's right. It's our boys Tony Lopez and Kendall Gill, as they're killing it right now at season 4 of the Parlay. So check it out, theparlay.com. And for all your fantasy football needs, everything that you're looking for, check out the fantasy fake football guys at the Football Guys on YouTube.
Hi, guys. Just saying hi.
Yeah, just saying hi. So
saying hi.
Just make sure to check them out at the Fake Football Guys on YouTube as well, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's everything. Now we're going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. And as always, much love.
This is throat.
Peace out. Peace out, Boom Crew.